Work at the Phillips Brothers Mill always starts early, often before dawn. Gary Hendricks, the mill forest manager, is firing up this morning for a run of pine logs to be made into tongue and groove flooring. This is a routine Gary or his son Greg have done countless times, as had their grandfather Ed Phillips and their uncles before them. An early start is necessary because this mill, unlike others in operation today, can't be started with the flip of a switch. The Phillips mill uses ancient but proven technology to power the equipment. Steam. With the fire lit, Gary now stokes the boiler and monitors the water temperature until steam is produced. This is a slow process, giving him time to reflect. He remembers the story his mother, Lillian Phillips Hendricks, and grandfather Ed used to tell of the old days. When Edmund Phillips was a young lad, his father Isaac Phillips took him to visit the nearby Myers Mill. Its wheels, rollers, levers, the saw biting through the logs were all things he never forgot. Years later, in 1897, when he was 25, he bought the iron fittings from the dismantled Myers Mill to use in the construction of the sawmill he and his brother Frank were building on Little Cow Creek. Timbers for framing were hand-hewn from logs they cut in the nearby forests. Then, in 1905, they replaced the original undershot water wheel with a penstock to drive a Pelton water wheel. The resulting increase in speed and power allowed the use of circular saws, which were superior for log cutting. Early logging was done entirely with horse teams. 12 to 16 head were used daily. Logs were loaded on big wheels, and a team of 2 to 8 horses, according to log size, would skid the logs over rough and roadless terrain a mile or more to the mill yard. In 1913, fire destroyed their first mill. The following year, it was rebuilt as a portable mill when Dan, another brother, became a partner. After a tragic accident killed 7 horses, including Ed's favorite, Dan suggested they buy a steam tractor to replace the horse teams. With the purchase of a used 1906 Best tractor, the Phillips brothers gained a working knowledge of steam power. In 1923, Dan Phillips left the partnership for health reasons, and the operation was taken over by Ed and his oldest sons, Clayton, Clifford, Arthur, and Edmund Jr. The younger boys also worked in the mill, but school always came first. After school, on weekends, and during vacations, each had assigned jobs in the mill and around the cookhouse. In 1933, they began building a new steam-powered mill on their property on Bullskin Ridge Road. That same year, their mill on Cow Creek was destroyed by a flood, and all their efforts then focused on the new mill. The horse-drawn log wagons were now replaced by larger solid-wheeled ones to haul tandem loads pulled by the Best traction engine. The wagon's 6 by 8-inch timber frames were hand-hewn of native black oak. Metal fittings and rims were fabricated in Ed's blacksmith shop. Wheels were cross-sections of ponderosa pine, 42 inches in diameter, 15 inches thick at the hub and tapering to 10 inches at the rim. This tractor and trailer system, first put to use in 1914, served for many years. In 1938, the Best steam tractor was replaced by a 60 Caterpillar tractor, and forest operations began a modernization that continues today. After World War II, it became increasingly difficult to compete in the lumber market against large automated sawmills. A decision was made to shift focus and produce a finished product. As veterans, the Phillips brothers were able to secure a $6,000 government grant to build their box factory. Their first products were fruit boxes and olive lugs, marketed to farmers up and down the California Central Valley. Today's market is largely specialty gift boxes for the region's wine and craft beer makers, as well as boxes for products like DVD and CD collections. The sawmill is now seeing a surge in orders for custom lumber products that traditional mills are not producing. These products are being used in all phases of construction of luxury homes. With the modernization of logging operations came a shift in forest management practices. Long before it was widely recognized as a crucial part of land preservation, the Phillips family saw the need for reforestation and conservation. Their products are made from trees grown on their own forest lands, which are protected in perpetuity as a sustainable, biodiverse, multi-age forest under guidelines established in a conservation easement. Selective logging techniques are used to harvest only mature or diseased trees. Trees are carefully fallen in a manner that will minimize damage to the surrounding forest. The tree is now limbed and bucked into predetermined log lengths. A choker is placed around the end of each log, then skidded to the log landing. A rubber tire skidder has replaced the Caterpillar tractors to further lessen the impact of the forest. Greg loads the truck, balancing the weight to ensure a safe and stable haul to the mill yard. Cables secure the load to keep it from shifting during transport. Sawmill operations are carried out much the same today as they were 100 years ago. Steam powers everything. Electric utilities have never been brought to the property. 4 steam engines power the various machines of the sawmill. The large main Atlas engine runs the line shaft that drives the log carriage, head-rigged circular saws, and the adjustable edger saws. The lower main saw is a 52-inch diameter blade, and the 48-inch top saw is engaged for large diameter logs. A twin-cylinder steam-powered Skagit winch brings logs from the mill pond to the log deck. A third vertical Peerless engine powers a conveyor belt that empties sawdust from below the head rig, and the fourth vertical engine drives a cutoff saw. The spring-fed mill pond serves a dual purpose. The water cleans dirt and debris from the logs and allows the logs to be sorted and selected for sawing. Steam is up and sawing operations are ready to begin. Greg calls for everyone to stand clear before putting the mill in motion.
Where?
The sawyer and carriage setter load a log on the carriage. It's then secured and positioned for the first cut. The sawyer directs the cutting pattern to maximize the lumber obtainable from the log. After each pass, the sawyer signals the depth of cut to the carriage setter, who positions the log for the next cut. The cutting and turning continues until the log is squared on 3 sides. Then clean-cut lumber production begins. Slabs with irregular edges are trimmed using the adjustable edger saws. The green chain operator loads the trimmed lumber on the tram cart, where it'll finally go to the yard to be stacked and stickered for drying. While the new log is being loaded, the boiler water level is checked. The fire is stoked and edgings are cut to become fuel for the boiler. The planing mill is where rough sawn boards are turned into finished dimensional lumber, such as tongue and groove flooring. A 1910 Ames engine powers an 1896 Gilbert 54-inch band resaw and an 1895 Hall & Brown planer. The 1922 Yates ripsaw is powered by an Atlas engine. Both engines use the same Willamette vertical fire tube boiler used by the sawmill. Before work can begin, the engine and line shafts are lubed and inspected. All water condensation is drained from the system. If water is present in the steam cylinder when the engine is started, the result can be catastrophic. Greg and Gary are familiar with all the hazards associated with steam operations and maintain a watchful eye on the equipment at all times. To prevent damage from stretching, planer belts are loosened or removed when the machine is not in use and are now reinstalled. The cutting heads to be used are installed and guides adjusted. When all is readied, planing operations begin. The mill is self-sufficient, contributes no harmful pollution, and wastes nothing. All parts of a tree are used. Wood scraps and sawdust fuel the boilers, and the fires burn hot and clean. The large woodworking machines in the box factory are powered by a 1912 vintage Houston, Stanwood, and Gamble horizontal engine. This engine powers the mainline shaft that drives an 1890s vintage Whitney planer. Two 1924 Mershon bandsaws, a dust blower system, and an alternator that supplies the building's electrical needs. Wooden boxes are made with box shook. Shook is the term used for the individual parts that make up a box. The mill originally made boxes called lugs for agricultural use to ship fruit and vegetables to market. With the advent of cardboard boxes, the market for wooden lugs dried up. However, specialty boxes are still in demand. Box construction begins with determining the use of the finished box, which in turn will determine the size and shape of the box. If artwork will be used, a magnesium branding plate is made. These plates can last for many thousands of impressions. With the box dimensions determined, they then cut and finish the shook needed to build the boxes. They start by cutting thick wood stock into thin slats. The bandsaws can make up to 3 cuts in one pass. The planer finishes the shook to the desired thickness. It then goes to the chop saw and is cut to the correct length. Before assembly begins, artwork branding is done. The branding plate is installed. Guides are adjusted and the branding temperature is set. Temperature combined with the length of time the plate contacts the wood determines the darkness of the brand. Only wood free of pitch is used for the branding process. Stapling machines attach the sides and bottoms of small boxes. For larger boxes, a nailing machine powered by a vintage hit and miss gasoline engine is used. The nailing machine is believed to have been built around 1916 and was purchased from a scrapyard and installed at the mill in 1948. The completed boxes are now readied for shipping to the customer. Edmund Phillips Jr. worked as a machinist for the Mare Island Naval Shipyard. He was a true artist when it came to machinery. Ed built the shop in the 1930s and equipped it with metal lathes, drill presses, a shaper, metal planer, grinders, a belt-driven hacksaw, and countless hand tools. A stationary steam engine powers an elaborate system of overhead line shafts and connecting belts to drive the array of metalworking machinery. Since the mill relies on equipment deemed out of date nearly a century ago, it could not operate without the machine shop. About 30 years ago, the mill's log carriage needed a better set works. Ed fabricated a new one from scratch, and it's still in use today. Ed passed along those skills to Greg, and now his ingenuity and creativity keeps the mill in top working order. As with most other buildings at the mill, there's no electricity in the machine shop. When Ed built the shop, he installed banks of fixed-pane windows and double doors to let in natural light. He also found he could make reflectors to direct light on his work from the numerous coffee cans collecting in the cookhouse. Mill saws must be routinely maintained to keep them in safe working order. The forces and temperatures placed on a saw during use can stretch and deform them, making them dangerous. Repairing a damaged saw requires a high degree of skill and experience. Greg is the mill saw filer, and he uses the specialized tools in the filing room to keep the circular saws and bandsaws sharp, safe, and in top working condition. Year after year, the Phillips Mill has remained steadfast and strong under the management and forward thinking of the Phillips brothers and their heirs. In a time of soaring power costs, greenhouse gases, and forest mismanagement, the Phillips family has managed to stay clean, stay green, and conserve and protect their land long before it became an issue to the rest of the world. It has been the passion and pride of this family for generations and continues today through the tireless efforts of Greg Hendricks, the mill manager, and his father Gary. Together, and with the remaining family members, nieces, and nephews of the original Phillips brothers, the little mill on Bullskin Ridge Road proudly proclaims its motto, looking to the future while preserving our heritage and timber resources. In August 2002, the Phillips Mill was listed in the National Register of Historic Places.